Hello, hello. This is Dave Sundstrom coming to you from my Dave Sundstrom Live channel. And today I thought, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about one of my all-time favorite television shows, Batman from 1966. This is the TV series that starred Adam West and Burt Ward and Yvonne Craig later on during the third season, as well as a host of great actors and actresses as Batman's rogue of villains, a veritable gallery of great actors and actresses like Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, Eartha Kitt, Julie Newmar. The list goes on and on. Otto Preminger is Mr. Freeze. Hello, Georgia. How are you? It's great to have you join me. We're here on my other channel, my Dave Sundstrom Live channel today. And I've actually got a regular live stream tomorrow on the main channel. But I thought today I have a handful of videos that I thought I'd share, and we can chat while we watch the videos. They are videos that I've made that are related to the Batman TV series. Good evening, Mr. Led. So first off, hello, Georgia. Good to have you here. Mr. Led, welcome. Great to have you on this live stream tonight, which is, again, on my alternative channel, Dave Sundstrom Live. And it's where I'm going to do live streams like this, experimental live streams. What I'm doing tonight is I'm going to share 4 videos, one on the Batman TV series, one on Yvonne Craig, one on Alan Napier, who played Alfred the Butler, and then one on Lyle Wagner. And hopefully you guys know the Lyle Wagner connection. If you don't, you will after you watch the video. Jimbackus backus. Yep, it's going to be a twofer this week because I will be back on the main channel tomorrow. So great to have you with me this evening as I share some videos live on the Dave Sundstrom Live channel. Georgia says, I am good. Loved Eartha Kitt as Catwoman Best, or Eartha Kitty as you describe her here. Tom, good to have you with us. And like I said, this is an experiment for me. What I thought I'd do, I was actually thinking of cobbling together these videos and making it a long form video for my main channel. And I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll just stream them, and I will visit with folks as they pop in and out of the live stream. I've got to say hi to my friend Marianne. Good to have you with us this evening. Tom says he's going to a convention on Sunday. Yeah, it is about time. Isn't it great that things are getting back to, you know what, to normal? And it's about time. I'm so happy to be able to, you know what, just interact with people face to face and go about my business, right? And I don't want to get political, but I think it's great that we are to the point where we can feel safe and protected and be able to do those things. All right. So here we go. I'm going to play the first video, and then we can talk a little bit more after that video. So without any further ado, let me bring this onto the stream. I love the original 1966 Batman TV series. More than any other show, this is the one that, as a kid, I just couldn't wait for it to show up on TV. And of course, as a grown-up, I've gained a new appreciation for the talented individuals involved in this show, especially Adam West. Looking back, I feel like this guy pulled off the impossible. He portrayed the character with such reverence that it allowed kids to admire his heroics, while grown-ups could snicker just a little bit about the general silliness of a grown man dressing up as a bat. And a few years back, when the studios were finally able to work out all of the legal entanglements, well, let's just say it was about time. Finally, fans could get their hands on all of the episodes of this wonderful series. And for me, it has been and will always be about Season 1. That first season, the ideas felt crisp. The budget was definitely better, and I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I can just feel the joy that Adam West and Burt Ward brought to these characters. So much so that now, Upon rewatching these episodes, I actually feel a little bit bad about the hostility that I felt towards this show when I was going through my Frank Miller phase in the late 80s. Thank heavens I'm past that now. And now I recognize that Adam West was truly the greatest Batman ever. So what was my favorite episode, you ask? Well, that honor goes to episode 19. The Perfect Crime. And because all of the stories were broadcast over the course of 2 days during seasons 1 and 2, I would need to include episode 20 as well. It was called Better Luck Next Time. It always seemed to rhyme. There are a bunch of reasons that these two are my favorites, but the primary one has to go to the best villain ever. Yes, I said it. Best villain ever. To call Catwoman a villain, though, that's actually wrong. As Batman would say, she's just a bit misguided. This was Catwoman's first appearance on the series, and Julie Newmar played her to perfection. Later on, we would get Eartha Kitt's take on the character, and because of a prior commitment, Lee Merriweather replaced Newmar in the movie version of Batman. Both actresses did a fine job of reinterpreting the character, but Newmar nailed it. Her performances throughout the series were some of the most memorable, and she had a lot of company in terms of great villains. In particular, Newmar, along with Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, and Frank Gorshin, they were the core 4 villains that would show up time and time again throughout the series run. A little bit of trivia about this episode: the original airing of The Perfect Crime was interrupted by a news bulletin about the near-fatal situation on Gemini 8, as NASA astronauts Neil Armstrong and David Scott were almost killed. ABC was flooded with calls not concerned about the astronauts, but instead angry viewers who just couldn't understand why the network had chosen to interrupt Batman. One other interesting piece of trivia is that Catwoman's jumpsuits were designed and sewn by Newmar herself. Wow, multi-talented. Now, with all this said, I do have a confession regarding why this is my all-time favorite episode. It's actually because I was able to watch and rewatch an abbreviated 3D version of this episode with my trusty Viewmaster. Not sure how many of you all remember these things, but I loved my Viewmaster growing up. 7 3D images per reel, along with a sentence or two that would move the plot along. That's all you needed back in the late 60s and early 70s. And heck, that's all we had. We didn't have VCRs and things like TiVos and streaming services like Netflix. They were decades away. So if I wanted to watch an episode of Batman, I would have to wait for it to show up on TV and catch it live. And by the mid-70s, you could only catch the show in reruns and syndication, and it would come and go. As time went on, my opportunities to watch the Adam West version of Batman became less and less frequent. But my trusty Viewmaster reels, well, they were always available for repeat viewings. Later on, one year Santa brought me a Viewmaster projector so that I could share my love of Batman and other shows with friends and family. It had a high-powered bulb with a metal grate over it, and that thing got very hot. And more than once, I burnt myself with it. These days, toy manufacturers wouldn't let something like this on the market for fear of being sued. But way back then, I just knew that I needed to be careful, not to get burned or, heaven forbid, burn down the house. So that's it. Julie Newmar, congratulations. You did it. You helped make your Season 1 appearance more than just a one-time thing. Newmar's Catwoman would return multiple times during Seasons 2 and 3 to vex Batman and Robin. Okay, mostly Batman. If only he could reform her. Much to Robin's chagrin, she would have made the perfect Bat companion. What do you think? Did you like Adam West Batman TV series? If so, what was your favorite episode? And who was your favorite villain? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you like this video, I'd love a thumbs up. Also, I'd be honored if you'd consider subscribing to my channel, but most importantly, as always, thank you so much for watching. All right, let me flip things around there. Oh, Tom, I put it up, your comment up, but I'm going to put it back up. says you still have your Viewmaster. You know what? I do too. I still have a Viewmaster. It's not my Viewmaster from when I was a kid, but I do have one for nostalgia purposes. So did any of you have a favorite toy? Because definitely my Viewmaster projector was one of my all-time favorites. I'm curious if you did. I'd love to have you kind of share that in the comments section, and I'll post it on the screen before we move on to my second Batman video. And by the way, I totally agree with you, Backus. Julie Newmar, right? Holy cow. I'm watching right now another show that she did with Bob Cummings before Batman called My Living Doll, and there's some episodes that you can catch on various places, among other things. But it's great, and it's sad because most of the episodes have been lost. They were burned in a warehouse fire, but she really is a great actress and someone that I've enjoyed watching over the years. Erie, Pennsylvania is the closest shore for me. All right. And okay, here we go. Marianne says her favorite toy growing up was a Fisher-Price record player. My younger brother or sister, I can't remember which one, had that record player. I thought it was really cool too. And of course, they had the Disney, and I'm sure maybe you had some of these, Marianne, the Disney read-along records that you would turn the page when Tinker Bell waved her magic wand. So a great memory. Thank you for sharing that one with us. And I'd love for anyone else who wants to share a favorite toy that they had growing up. I'd love to hear what those are and flash it up on the screen and talk about it for a minute if you have one. I'm sure we all had favorite toys, right? I'll share another one with you guys really quick. It's right here. Right between a couple of my mother's Beanie Babies there. That she was an avid Beanie Baby collector. But this guy right here, I got this when I was 6 or 7. You can see it's pretty beat up. It's a Batmobile from that 66 TV series. I love this thing. Let's see if it pops out the Bat Ram. And there's these little jets back here. And back in the day, you could put little rockets in there and it would shoot out there. And when the car goes, you can see the flame moving in the back there. But my dog got a hold of this thing, so it's been pretty beat up. It's been chewed up. The windshield is completely destroyed, but I do love it. I have a replica of it, but this is the original, and I still love it, still have it. So let's see what else you guys had. Cindy D says, my Easy Bake Oven, loved it. Oh, that's awesome. My sister, who was just 10 months younger than me, had an Easy Bake Oven as well, and she had a great time. I'm not sure what kind of success you had, but I don't think she had a lot of success making stuff with it. At least the Easy Bake Oven that she had was just heated by a regular light bulb. And I believe, much like that Viewmaster that I talked about in the video, it was a bit of a fire hazard. Marianne's talking about, let's see, she says that if you come over to the Jersey Shore, you got to try the saltwater taffy and the funnel cake. All sounds so delightful. Georgia says that she had an Easy Bake Oven that she loved. And Marianne says, a visiting best friend, and she had an original from 1975. By the way, they've changed so much. They still sell them, but they're nothing like the originals. Tom says they have a contest where you make gourmet foods with your Easy Bake Oven, and that sounds like it'd be fun to watch. All right, folks, we are going to go to my second video of the live stream today, which is all about Batman's faithful friend and butler, Alfred. So without any further ado, let's bring that one onto the stream. Okay, I've got to admit that the summers of my youth, well, they were spent watching a lot of television. And one of my absolute favorite shows was Batman, starring Adam West, Burt Ward, and this guy, Alan Napier, as Batman's loyal butler and faithful friend, Alfred Pennyworth. And when we weren't watching TV, me and my friends could often be found running around the neighborhood pretending to be superheroes. Fortunately for me, in addition to the homemade Batman cape my mom made me, I also had my Batman Halloween costume ready to go. Unfortunately for me, for whatever reason, maybe it was because it seemed like I was everybody's third best friend. Yep, we actually ranked them out way back then. I was not often given the opportunity to be everyone's first choice. Instead, it would seem that more often than not, I got to be this guy, good old Alfred the butler. I would get to do exciting things like pretend to answer the bat phone, usher Master Bruce and his ward away from Aunt Harriet, and maybe, just maybe if I was lucky, I could hang out a bit with pretend Batman and pretend Robin in our pretend Batcave while we figured out what to do next. Quite frankly, I would have preferred to have been the villain, but that was most often relegated to another kid a little higher on the friendship chart. By the way, this dynamic played out in a similar fashion when we played Star Trek. Yeah, guess who got to be Chief Engineer Montgomery Scott? Speaking of Star Trek, have you ever noticed that in 99% of the scenes with Scotty on that show, James Doohan's right hand is semi-obscured by his other hand, or even more frequently an object? It turns out he was missing a finger. I don't know the story behind when, where, or how it happened, but it does seem like with a little research, that might make for an interesting video somewhere down the road. But let's get back to Alfred. It turns out that he was a pretty cool feller, and quite frankly, there were a ton of things that I learned by watching and emulating Alan Napier's version of the character. Napier himself has said that when he was approached about joining the Batman TV show, he knew nothing about the character of Alfred. He'd never read a Batman comic book, but he was keenly interested in the promise of steady work, and the money seemed to be pretty decent, so he jumped at the idea. In fact, he was the first person cast for the show. And of course, the rest is television history. Sure, on many an occasion, Alfred could be found in the Batcave serving light snacks to our weary heroes. But during that amazing TV show, and yes, it was a wonderful, astonishing, and simply amazing television program to a young man of my age, Alfred, well, he got to battle supervillains like the Joker. Somewhere during the third season, he even got a smooch from Batgirl. Lucky, lucky man. And wouldn't you know it, he even found himself donning the cape and the cowl, fooling all of Gotham, helping to conceal Bruce Wayne's true identity. Yes, Alfred became the Batman. And as I got older, I realized that I'd learned quite a bit by watching Alan Napier on the tiny screen. His Alfred taught me the value of lifting and supporting others. His Alfred taught me that loyalty and kindness were traits that should be highly prized. And his Alfred taught me that regardless of who people think you are, where they try to place you in the pecking order of life, you can be more, way more. You can even drive the freaking Batmobile. Chew on that one for a moment, my friends. Yep, Mr. Pennyworth actually found himself behind the driver's seat of the world's greatest vehicle. Sorry, kid. And if that ain't enough proof that you can be whoever, whatever you want to be, well, I don't know what is. And it would seem that Hollywood has realized the same thing as well. The show Pennyworth, currently on Epix, tells the backstory of a young Alfred Pennyworth, and let me just say that it is a very different version of the man who will eventually become the Wayne family's most trusted ally. It is a completely different take on good old Alfred, patterned more after the Michael Caine version and other versions of our favorite butler than Mr. Napier's. It's a dangerous and extremely violent world that this Alfred operates in, but it's also an extremely interesting, albeit very mature, take on the character. Getting back to Alan Napier, it's worth pointing out that his career was a lengthy one. For most of it, he was a character actor in both movies and television. He did, however, prior to Batman, take front and center as Sherlock Holmes in a televised version of Doyle's legendary sleuth. If you're interested in learning more about this very dignified and very resilient actor, you might want to check out his autobiography that was released posthumously just a few years ago. So that's it. One more picture. Again, Alfred's right there in the thick of things. If I remember correctly, that golden truck can only mean that the nefarious King Tut is on the loose once again. Anyway, please share your memories in the comments section. And while you're at it, I would love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my little channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. All right. That's the second of 4 Batman videos we're going to watch this evening during the live stream. So, yeah, I learned a lot from Alfred, and I think I'm a better person because of it. At least I'd like to think so. I still can't say posthumously correctly. And I think there's probably 7 or 8 videos out there. An eagle-eared listener will catch that I say posthumously. I don't know why. It's one of those words that I just struggle with, but posthumously is what I'm trying to say, what I should say. Thanks for the thumbs up, Marianne. And let's see, jimbackus says, Batman, Robin, and the Batmobile came to Austin, Texas in '67. So I got to see the Batmobile probably in the late 70s. I was disappointed when it rolled into town for a car show because they had covered it in some sort of black like felt as a protector and it's felt fake to me almost, even though I was assured that it was one of the original Batmobiles. And I got to meet Adam West when I was in college at Weber State University in Ogden, Utah. And boy, was that a treat for me. What a gentleman. What a great guy. Yeah, we all have words, right, Marianne? That one's not as difficult for me, but I do struggle with certain words that I know in my head the correct way to say them, but 9 times out of 10, they come out wrong. Yeah, Danny, that was an older video that I have. I'm playing 4 of my old classics regarding Batman, and we're talking a little bit about Batman. I was telling the group that's joined on this live stream, and by the way, this is on my Dave Sundstrom live channel, that I was actually thinking of stitching these videos together and putting it out as a long form video on the main channel. And then I thought, you know what? Let's just do an experiment. Let's do a live stream. Let's share the videos here. At the same time, I'll share the comments that come along with the videos, and that kind of makes it fun. I'm curious now that we've got a few people here on the live stream with me. Who was your favorite villain? I should probably just say that, Mr. Led. Yeah, after they passed. That's an easier way for me. But you know what? I'm one of those guys that likes to throw out the big words from time to time, and clearly I don't say them right all the time. Anyway, please share in the comment section who your favorite Bat villain was. I'll share mine in just a moment. Danny says Catwoman for sure. Dan, I'm going to ask you, was it regardless? Are we talking Julie? Are we talking Eartha? Or are you a movie fan? Went with Lee Merriweather? Which Catwoman, or is it just all of them? Yeah, $5 words. Probably shouldn't be spending that much money. Marianne says the Riddler, Frank Gorshin. Holy cow, was he great. He was the first villain to show up on the Batman TV series, and he set a high bar. Frank Gorshin set a high bar for all those that followed. Georgia says Cesar Romero playing the Joker. Yes, he was so good too. My favorite Joker, and there have been a lot of great Jokers over the year, live action Jokers, but boy, oh boy, was Cesar Romero great. And Jim Backus says, oh baby, Julie Newmar. And my answer is as well, Julie Newmar. I've already shared my favorite Batman episode is The Perfect Crime with Julie Newmar. So she was great, and she continues to be great. A force to be reckoned with even these days. Danny Staten, love Danny Staten, by the way, says Eartha was a better actress in the part, but Julie was just better to look at. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, my friend, but I certainly wouldn't take anything away from Eartha. She really got into that role, right? She really kind of embodied and in her vocal mannerisms and everything, that feline character, that feline villain. Marianne says, I liked Gomez Adams too. Can't think of his name. Well, he played another version of the Riddler. His name is something Aston, John Aston. And he played, when Frank Gorshin wasn't able to continue as the Riddler, they brought him in to be another version of the Riddler. Similarly, there's various actors who play Mr. Freeze on the show as well. Mr. Led says, unfortunately, there's no market for great impressionists like Frank Gorshin nowadays. Yeah, I saw a piece on the news recently about Rich Little. And, he's still around, still doing his great impressions. And truthfully, I hadn't heard about him for years. And that's just because no one seems to be paying attention to these guys. Jimbackus says all of the original villains are classic. I have to agree. So does Marianne. So let us move on to our third video, because I'm going to keep this to 45 minutes or so today, since this is just kind of an experiment, a surprise for the Dave Sundstrom Live channel. We're going to move on to a little something about, let's go with the Yvonne Craig video. All right.
The only time I ever remember watching Batman on TV during its initial run was during its third and final season. By that time, the creative team behind the program had reduced the show's frequency to one airing a week and had introduced a new recurring character in Barbara Gordon, also known as Batgirl, played by the lovely and talented Yvonne Craig. As most fans of the show know, at this point in the series run, ratings were down. As with all fads, the show had run its course, and producers were looking at ways to revitalize the show while pinching pennies to make it more cost-effective. Paring down the episodes to one a week was one way to accomplish that, but in doing so, Batman lost one of its signature elements, the two-part cliffhanger homage to the movie serials of the 40s and 50s, where Batman and Robin would seemingly be in an impossible situation. As producer and narrator William Dozier would say, viewers would need to tune back in the following day, same bat time, same bat channel, to see how and if the Caped Crusaders would find some way to avoid the danger and escape from whatever dastardly trap the week's arch-villain had placed them in. It also did not escape the producer's notice that some of the most highly rated episodes of the series had guest starred Julie Newmar as the super sexy villainous Catwoman. Catwoman is played by Ms. Newmar, as well as ridding Gotham of its criminal element. I won't lie, folks, as a young boy I had a huge crush on Batgirl. Yep, she was pretty much perfect. And unlike Ms. Newmar, my other crush, she was on the right side of the law. For Yvonne, this was a dream come true. Batgirl wasn't her first role. In fact, prior to Batman, Ms. Craig starred with Elvis in 2 different films. It Happened at the World's Fair and Kissin' Cousins. She was also a guest star in shows like Wild Wild West and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. And she also had a memorable role on Star Trek in the episode Whom Gods Destroy as Marta, a green-skinned Orion slave girl. A couple of years after Batman, Craig reprised the role on a public service announcement for equal pay for women. This is a cause that she would champion throughout her life. Why? Well, while the male actors in Batman were making substantially more, it has been reported that Ms. Craig was paid $1,500 an episode to portray Batgirl during the show's third and final season. Despite her relative low pay as Batgirl, Ms. Craig cherished the time in cowl, and prior to her passing in 2015, she was a frequent guest at comic book conventions. In 2000, she released a memoir about her time as Batgirl as well as her entire career. I'd post a link to it on Amazon, but at this point, it's out of print and pretty darn hard to find. If you stumble across a copy, snag it, give it a read, and then for heaven's sake, sell the darn thing on eBay. You'll make a couple $100. So that's it. Are you a fan of Yvonne Craig and her portrayal of Batgirl during the show's third and final season? Let me know what you think in the comments section. And while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
All right, video number 3 in the can. Yvonne Craig, love the comments. Hello to those folks that have joined a bit late. Well, how did you know? I didn't even know I was going to do this a few hours ago. So first off, let me just post this up here. Danny, sorry to hear about your brother. that is, it's tough when you lose a sibling. Regardless of age, it is tough when you lose a sibling. I've lost two. I've lost both my sisters in their early 20s. And I certainly know the pain that you feel and the sadness to lose a family member. So I want to pass on my condolences to you, my friend. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, hey, John Collins, good to have you here. We're just watching a few of my old Batman videos. We got one more left. It's not really a Batman video, but it has a Batman kind of tangential portion to it that we'll cover in just a minute. Let's see. I want to make sure I pull these up. Again, that's holy cow, 14 brothers, 2 sisters, but 2 of my brothers are gone now. Well, that's a large family, but it doesn't make the pain any less. It certainly does not. So sorry to hear that. All right, so Yvonne Craig played Batgirl. A couple things that I noticed about that video as I watched it. It was one of my earliest videos that I made. Made it way back in 2017, I believe. And the music I don't like. The microphone is horrible. The audio is horrible in that one. But you know what? I was learning, and it was fun to put videos together. And I have tried to do this since the very beginning. Videos together that just are about the things that I love, right? TV that I loved growing up. And the Batman TV show was definitely one of them, as was Andy Griffith. And I saw earlier there was a comment. I have to scroll back up to see who asked me. Was it Danny or was it someone else that asked me if I'd heard about the passing of Millie, the actress who played Millie, Arlene Galanka. And I have. I've heard about that she passed away. This was a few days ago, unfortunately now. Oh, Danny Staten asked me that. Yeah, it's been a few days ago since she passed. But you know what? There are times, one, I hate you. Many of you have mentioned that you find out about someone passing away from me, from my channel. And I hate to always be the bearer of bad news, right? As we get older, and it seems like that news becomes more and more frequent. I have started work on a video on Arlene because she's part of the Andy Griffith Show, part of Mayberry RFD, and so I certainly have memories. But I've kind of stalled on that one a little bit. A couple of reasons. One, because work's kept me hopping, and 2, because sometimes I just get stumped. I don't know where to go with it. I don't know what to say, and I have to do more research. I want to make sure that when I'm talking about someone who has recently passed away, that I do them justice and treat their life, a celebration of their life, with the respect that they're due. So I got to say thank you to, let's see, let me go right here. I have, this is where I wanted to go, to John Collins, who's picked up a couple of my good stuff t-shirts off of, you can catch them, or you can order them on any of the videos. They're just down around I think they're above the description section on the videos. But thanks for doing that, John, and thanks for, I really appreciate that you've reached out and connected with me a number of times through Twitter, and I certainly appreciate that. Yep, Marianne, there is a little bit of merch, but certainly do not feel obligated in any way. I did it because it's fun, because I wanted a t-shirt, and I wanted to give like my brother a t-shirt, and a few folks that have been on my live stream and helped me out with it. I wanted to make sure they had t-shirts as well, but don't feel obligated in any way. But the link, to answer your question, Jimbackus, if you go to my main channel and go to any of the videos and then just kind of scroll down by the description section, there's a link to the t-shirts. I see. I didn't hear about Ned Beatty passing away either. That's another sad one, because he's in one of my all-time favorite movies, Superman the movie, where he played, what was his name? Was it Otis in that movie? I think it was in that movie. He was great as Lex Luthor's henchman. And Mr. Led, yeah, I don't have a Diet Coke with me. Trust me, I will at some point later on this evening. But No, no Diet Coke right now. Yes, the t-shirts, if you want to pick up one, they're in the descriptions or by the description fields of all of my videos on the main channel. It says, but we count on you to keep us updated and make us feel better about stuff. Well, I do my best, and that's when I struggle when I feel like I'm not doing that as I put together a video. I didn't hear about Ned either. I've got to do some research on that one. Yeah, probably should go grab one, but I maybe while we watch the next video, I'll do that. Again, hopefully I've kept the t-shirts cheap enough that or inexpensive enough that if you want to pick one up, you're welcome to. But again, nobody should feel pressure. I try not to even mention them because it's not a big deal to me. I did them for fun. Marianne says, a few years ago, I had a 9-month period where I watched a classic TV show. Someone died from that show 2 days later. Started with The Professor and ended with Robin Williams. Holy cow. You probably needed to stop watching TV during that 9-month period. People were dropping like flies. That's horrible. Ned Beatty, yeah, that's who they're talking about. James Doohan lost his finger. Yeah, I talked about that in the Alan Napier video a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, Ned Beatty was in Deliverance with Burt Reynolds. Tarrell says, Donna Pescow. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I would love to do something like that. I was actually watching some clips from Out of This World. I was reminded of that syndicated television show from the 80s while I was responding to comments today. And I loved Angie. I'm not a big Saturday Night Fever fan and really didn't watch much of Even Stevens, although my boys did. It's on the Disney Channel, or it was. But Angie and Out of This World I watched quite a bit of. Thank you so much, John. Let's see. Yes, let's do a little shameless promotion. Shameless self-promotion. That's what we should call it. Danny Staten. He's got a great channel. You know what? I like the Daily Blog channel, but the Daily Dan's Good Stuff is a good one as well. So definitely check out Danny's stuff. Yeah, I bet he did tell you to quit watching TV if everybody was dying. Holy cow. And Georgia says, love Ned Beatty and Deliverance. All right. You guys reminded me about my Diet Coke. I need to go get a Diet Coke now. Marianne says, I love the dancing and music in Saturday Night Fever, but hated the movie. That's probably a fair assessment, too. I had the soundtrack, the Bee Gees soundtrack, and thought it was great. All right, so I'm going to play my last video and go grab my Diet Coke, and I'll be back in just a minute so that I can read your comments and put them on the screen while we do it. So, yeah, Mrs. Pill. Oh, Diana Rigg from the Avengers. She's awesome. Great one. All right, let's keep going. He was almost cast as the Caped Crusader way back. There we go. Lyle Wagner passed away the other day, and when I read about it, I immediately thought about how he was almost cast as the Caped Crusader way back in the 60s. Yep, Lyle was passed over in favor of Adam West, and while West truly owned the role of Batman way back then, I believe that Wagner could have definitely given him a run for the money when it came to bringing millionaire socialite Bruce Wayne to life. The thing about Lyle is that he certainly looked the part. Watching his screen test with Burt Ward's competitor for the Robin role, Peter Dale, you can absolutely see why the producers wanted to bring Wagner in for a screen test. And while I won't ever argue that the wrong choice was made for the Caped Crusader, I do think it is interesting to see Lyle in costume and in cowl. One has to believe that Lyle Wagner was most likely pretty darn excited at the possibility of playing Batman on primetime television, and I'm sure it was extremely disappointing when he didn't get the role. Still, Wagner was never one to wallow in self-pity. Instead, he was the kind of guy who found humor almost everywhere he looked, and that certainly played in his favor when Carol Burnett was putting together the cast for her now legendary comedy show that ran for 11 seasons on CBS. Wagner was part of that show from 1967 to 1974, so maybe he didn't get to be the Caped Crusader. But you know what? The Carol Burnett show ran a whole heck of a lot longer than Batman did, which fizzled out after only 3 seasons. In her 2010 book, This Time Together, Carol Burnett recalled seeing Wagner for the first time and thinking that he was gorgeous. What surprised her, though, was just how funny he really was. To quote Carol herself, she said, "He was incredibly funny. He had a sly, tongue-in-cheek delivery that told you he was putting himself on and not taking himself too seriously." In an official statement after Wagner's passing, Burnett said this: "He was funny, kind, and multi-talented, but even more than that, a loving friend. I will miss him." Perhaps my favorite memory of Lyle Wagner on television was when he finally did get his own TV show based on a DC comic book character. You know, I really loved that Wonder Woman TV series from the 70s. Linda Carter was great as the title character, and Wagner, well, he was equally good as the object of her affection. In the 80s, Wagner was frequently a guest star on many of my favorite TV shows, including The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Happy Days. I also remember him playing himself on an episode of The Golden Girls in 1990, but that was about it, at least as far as I can remember, because right around that time, he made the decision to retire from the entertainment industry and focus on another business that he dreamt up while working on the Wonder Woman set. You see, Lyle always felt that the trailers that they spent so much time in while filming episodes, well, he felt that they were a bit subpar. And so he started his own company, which rented luxury trailers to the entertainment industry. Yep, Lyle knew exactly what amenities would make entertainers feel a little more at home. And his company, well, it was a big hit. So much for retirement, I guess. Oh well, who needs rest anyway? Not Lyle Wagner, that's for sure. Well, at least until March 17th, when he passed away peacefully in his sleep. He had been battling cancer. Lyle Wagner was 84 years old. Okay, that's all I have. I think I'll end this video with a picture of the Carol Burnett cast reunited a few years back. What a wonderful group of people, and boy, oh boy, they could really make you laugh. Alright, please share your memories of Mr. Wagner in the comments section of this video, and if you enjoyed my little trip down memory lane, I would appreciate a thumbs up. That's how I'll know if I should make more videos like this one. Also, I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. All right, there we go. That is the last of my 4 Batman themed videos that I thought I'd share with you this evening. So first off, thank you to everybody that's joined me this evening on the live stream. A reminder that there will be another live stream tomorrow evening on my main channel. It will be at 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 Dave Sundstrom time. Time varies depending where you are, what time zone, 5:30 Pacific time. But I hope you will be able to join me at that time. It's going to be kind of back to bare bones, original type live stream. I am just going to answer questions and throw a few questions out to you guys and see what your thoughts are as well. So hopefully it'll be fun. I think it will be. And oh, wait, for whoever, was it Mr. Led who asked me where my Diet Coke was? It's right here, my friend. That's refreshment. By the way, this live stream, nor any other, is sponsored by the Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Have a great night to all, and I look forward to visiting with you over on the main channel tomorrow night for a Q&A live stream. So thanks again, folks, and we'll talk to you, hopefully many of you, tomorrow evening.